Heroes of Might and Magic, a beloved game featuring masterfully crafted stories where adventure abounds, and tactics, strategy, and skill are venerated. For years, fans have been craving the worthy successor to this renowned series. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that just might do it. Olden Era is the upcoming prequel to the iconic Heroes of Might and Magic series developed by Unfrozen Studio since 2020. Olden Era will focus on fresh heroes from the distant continent of Jadame, far away from the continents of Enroth and Intagarich. The game promises a perfect blend of nostalgia and innovation, combining the best of the old with exciting new elements in art, music, and gameplay. For longtime fans, this evolution without revolution approach is exactly what we want to hear. Classic, but new. True to the history and tradition we have come to expect, but also something we haven't quite seen before. So far, from what I have seen, the devs may actually be walking that tightrope between classic and novel. Before we dive into the gameplay specifics, let's examine the development philosophies as told by Denis, Unfrozen CEO, and Alexandra, their narrative director. The team behind Olden Era believes a game in 2025 should support a variety of playstyles and modes.
A campaign that people love and tournament multiplayer scene are not mutually exclusive at all. Actually, we feel that Heroes of Might and Magic are such a great game mechanically. It's robust.
Therefore, we will see a single-player campaign, hot seat, and online multiplayer with competitive play featuring ranked ladders. The single-player campaign is set in the world of Enroth, before the events of Heroes of Might and Magic 1 through 4. And will reference locations found in Might and Magic 8.
It's Might and Magic 8 because Might and Magic 8 is the game that takes place on Jadame. So we said that Jadame has never been explored by the Heroes of Might and Magic franchise.
The story revolves around a looming threat from the mysterious Hive faction, insectoid creatures who may be somehow related to the Kregan Empire. Don't be fooled though, they are villains of their own caliber and not simply Inferno Light. As dark forces gather over Jadame, the factions of the land must unite to face this threat. You'll play as Ilwari, a young Medusa, tasked with negotiating peace between the Fae, Holy, and Darkened factions before tensions boil over. The campaign will be non-linear, allowing your choices to shape the outcome. Early access will release the first 8 missions, with more to come.
What I can tell you is that, for example, the single-player campaign, the first act that will release in early access, will be like 1/4, maybe 1/3, but more likely 1/4 of the whole experience.
And when it comes to the single-player experience, Denis answered one of my burning questions.
Game should be accessible to everyone, so I definitely can confirm that the game will not require a permanent internet connection for the single player.
The game will be playable offline. Yes, no mandatory internet connection for single player, hallelujah! Plus, the community will have access to a map editor, continuing the tradition of user-created content. If you're into co-op campaigns, for example, the devs are supplying the tools to create co-op experiences, even if it's not officially in the game at launch. For competitive players, Olden Era will have 3 main ranked modes: Classic, One Hero Mode, and Arena. Classic Mode offers the familiar Heroes experience, likely leading to long, intense games. One Hero Mode is a fast-paced, blitz-style match that'll wrap up in about 45 minutes to an hour. Arena Mode focuses purely on combat, letting you draft your army and battle without worrying about town building or exploration.
Players that enjoy single hero modes are sometimes frustrated by the combined ladder system. So in Olden Era, we will have, you will have an online multiplayer profile, and the 3 modes that we currently offer will be listed there. So you will have a separate rating for Arena, a separate rating for Classic mode, and a separate rating for a single hero mode.
It seems to me that the game is being designed with esports in mind, with feedback from top-tier players shaping key mechanics like map templates, matchmaking, and anti-cheat systems. Expect MMR-based ranked play similar to StarCraft 2 or League of Legends, and streamlined systems for drafting and simultaneous turns.
It's the things which are actually planned, but we will see how it goes based on users' feedback. For now, will be some kind of draft system.
So, what's actually going to be in the game? The early access release will feature 6 factions.
So we will have Temple, which is a variation of Castle or Haven, your traditional Blessed Knights. We will have Necropolis, Dungeon, Sylvan, Hive, which is our new version of demonic insectoid creatures, and also a mysterious 6th faction that we have not yet revealed. These are the factions that will launch with in early access.
Here's what we know about each faction revealed so far. Olden Era faction units will have a base creature and 2 potential upgrades, allowing for more flexibility and strategic depth in army composition. Dungeon, for example, has some very familiar faces with several spicy tactical additions. For example, after Troglodytes and Elvish Infiltrators, Dark Elf Onyx Dancers can spec into becoming Jasper Dancers, who do bonus melee damage, or Ariat Dancers, who shred defenses more effectively from range. Some abilities are passive, some abilities are active.
Some units, especially high-tier units, have several high-level abilities. The way they work is that every unit has a unique resource, so-called energy, that they collect over time. They get 1 point of energy whenever a new round starts, whenever they are attacked, and whenever they attack. So if a unit is active on the battlefield, it will replenish faster, and then when the energy bar is filled, they can use any ability that they have. So for high tier units that have several abilities, this is the moment when you'll think about which of them to use.
The choices and upgrades feels meaningful, and the developers have committed to getting balance correct through tweaking stats like health, attack, defense, damage, morale, luck, initiative, and speed. With so many levers to pull and lots of data that will be collected during early access, it is highly likely that Unfrozen Studio could make each faction comparatively balanced from one to the other. But maybe we should ask the question, should they?
I feel that if you just ask a random person in the street if factions are supposed to be balanced, the go-to answer would be yes, but that's not necessarily how it works, because there is fun in difference as well.
This thought goes along with the idea that each faction was designed to be played differently.
Each faction has its own style of gameplay. Like Heroes 3 had it with Necropolis, so Necromancers had Necromancy, a unique approach to building an army. In Olden Era, each faction will have some sort of a unique twist or unique factional ability.
This may be a direct page out of the book of Heroes of Might and Magic 5. While your starting faction in some entries into the series might have very little weight, for Heroes 5, and apparently for Heroes of Might and Magic Olden Era, your choice of starting faction will open up specific strategies before the game even starts.
There are also things that influence this gameplay indirectly. We have faction laws, which are a set of perks. Basically, like every hero in Heroes of Might and Magic gains perks in the form of skills. In Olden Era, your kingdom itself will also get perks, a choice of perks like from an upgrade tree. And the thing about it is that it's tied to your original faction. So even if you grab neutral units and you fight your opponent with the units that you've hired in an external dwelling, your starting selection of perks will still depend on the faction you started as. So the same units can play differently, and the same strategy can unfold in a different way because of that.
I see really interesting opportunities with these faction laws. hero specialities, and having meaningful choices amongst units. One of my favorite parts about any competitively played game comes from exploring all of the many varied strategies and watching whatever meta unfolds. Even older games with thriving communities like StarCraft 1 or Age of Empires 2 have seen innovation that turned things on their head years after someone claimed that they had figured it all out. Bad games are needlessly complex. Good games have a depth that brings richness and opportunity to the inquiring mind. I see Olden Era trending more towards having depth.
So one thing that I want to make clear is that we do not want to make the core of the game simpler. Because at its heart, Heroes of Might and Magic is a strategy game, and the longevity of strategy games lies in their complexity. The game needs to be mechanically complex and have a lot of interlocking systems so that people can find various ways to play it, can improvise, can interact with the game a lot.
Here are my thoughts on the units and visual assets we have seen so far. I must start by comparing what I see here to my favorite entry into the series, Heroes of Might and Magic 2. I always preferred the beautiful, colorful sprite work on Heroes 2 over others in the series. I want something engaging to look at, but I also want to be able to tell at a glance what is going on. In a Reddit post titled "My Concerns About the Visual Style of Olden Era," the author expressed their worries about the art style not being very legible. I think when looking at still images that it can be a bit confusing at times, but once animated in their environment or on the battlefield, everything instantly changes for me. Really, I'm not here to tell you how to feel about the game, but I'm satisfied, and I was worried that I wouldn't be. Now is a pretty good time for me to remind you that everything that you see here is subject to change. Yep, everything from the models to the names to the lore, all of this might not even make it into the full game. As a reminder, this is all going to be released in the Q2 of 2025, and the game is then going to spend a full year in early access going into 2026. And so that's going to give us the opportunity to see whatever things will work out the best and cohesively, and then also potentially prune some of the things that just are not up to snuff. However, if you are like me and you are interested in seeing what the developers are cooking up, then please check out their links in the description of this video, and it will take you to nice places like the YouTube page for Unfrozen Studio, where official releases land, their Discord, and the Olden Era Reddit page where information abounds. Shout out to Yuso and the active participants for the assist on this video. Let's talk magic. There will be several schools of magical aptitude, each bringing different abilities and strategies to the table. The devs have confirmed that all factions will be able to use the 4 schools of magic, that is Daylight, Nightshade, Arcane, and Primal. We can expect buffing spells like Radiant Armor, debuffing spells like Unnatural Calm, damaging spells like Cave-In, and utility spells like Early Start. The 4 scholars wrote spells in the stars, which is why much of the early artwork for Olden Era has an emphasis on constellations. These spells represent the other side of the coin for our Heroes of Might and Magic. We'll see some familiar locations like Dragon Utopias and Learning Stones, as well as new additions like traveling circuses and alchemical labs. These features will give you plenty of opportunity for adventure. Keep an eye out for new mechanics like alchemical dust, which can improve spells and artifacts, and new buildings like the Troglodyte Thrones and the Petrified Memorial. All of the background music in this video has been borrowed from various official releases. It is beautiful, and part of that reason must be because of this gentleman. The legendary Paul Romero is composing the soundtrack for Olden Era, along with Mateus and the Heroes Orchestra, and the one and only Chris Valesco. The game is set to deliver a truly epic score. With the early access release in Q2 of 2025, Olden Era is shaping up to be both an incredible experience for the single-player fans and competitive players alike.
The version of the game that will launch in early access could have been a full release, so it will be feature complete.
When asked if there would be ongoing support for the game, Alexandra said the following:
Of course. First of all, we will have it in early access, and then we have a full roadmap of how the game will progress from early access to release, and we will add new features and expansions during that period for free.
I am optimistic about what's to come, and I can't wait to dive in when early access drops. There is so much that has been released, and there's so much more that will be released. Please check out the links in the description for the helpful places if you want to go and continue exploring Olden Era for yourself. I love Heroes, and I play it weekly. So if this intrigues you, then consider liking and subscribing to see more adventures with Heroes on YouTube, Twitch, or just hang out with me in the FixFox Discord. Take good care of yourself until next time, and I'll see you when Olden Era becomes reality.